Yo, what up,
What's going on?
gamers?
Gamer Nation.
I'm gonna do that every single time. I'm gonna go gamers.
Like I try to match that energy, but I'm just like secretly cringing. So
Gamers.
well,
Well, anyway,
I'm Dana.
I'm Sam, and this is the Virtual Homework Podcast, episode 3. So we actually have had an episode.
Isn't this episode 2?
It's
like 2.5.
It's like 3.5.
Oh shit, you're right. I can't even count.
No, you don't. You haven't been there for the past 3 podcasts.
I haven't.
You just clocked in.
I was there, but not really. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Spiritual.
But this is the first episode since our podcast has actually been public.
Correct.
Before, we've just been doing this in secret, sad and alone. We didn't know if this was going to amount to anything. So we fortunately got 3 million views on YouTube.
Yeah, we're kind of a big
2
deal
million
now.
plays on SoundCloud.
Wait,
And
really?
we are the number 1 podcast on Apple Podcasts right now. It's insane. I can't thank you all for the support.
Why didn't you tell me any of this? I imagine.
Oh, I think I showed you the unlisted videos. I posted them on David Letterman's YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
And they were a major hit. I forgot to tell you that.
But
well,
yeah.
anyway, opening theme song.
We have a theme song.
No, but something might have played there.
We haven't.
It might have
decided
been like
yet.
a shitty MIDI to a song from the 70s or 80s. We don't know
Oh,
yet.
that's right. Yeah. We were talking about that briefly, but that's fine.
Or it could be something that we decide afterwards. It's going to be like a roulette. You might hear a theme song, you might not.
it
It's
might
going to
be
exciting.
copyright. You never know.
Well, I hope it's not.
Hope it's
Or
not.
just our entire podcast gets taken down.
Yeah,
immediately.
they actually take our monetization from us. They're gonna take all 14 cents away.
But
from us.
we're still legally required to make the podcast.
Correct.
So we're just indentured servitude.
It's my favorite kind of servitude.
So before we actually get started and talk about our subject for today, what is it?
We played the game Jet Moto, a game from my childhood, which I hope Sam enjoyed as much as I do.
Well, we'll get into that in a little bit, but before we get into Jet Moto for the PSX, the PlayStation 1, I did want to follow up a little bit on our Toki episode, which
What's up?
for those who have been listening to the podcast, probably just heard, considering that episode releases tomorrow.
Yeah.
I did actually look up more speedruns for the game, and I noticed something peculiar, that the game actually has different categories based on difficulty, and I'm talking the arcade game. So there's a easy, normal, and expert mode for the actual arcade game.
So wait, so there are actually more than just the one difficulty?
Yeah, but the caveat being, we played on the normal difficulty. There was a harder
Wait, what?
mode, and there was an easier mode. We could have played on the easier mode, I guess, but like...
Well, but obviously
All
the
the
default we should be playing is normal.
Yeah, so all the qualms we had, I think they were justified, because not only is that normal, there's a harder mode,
How could
which
it
people
actually
apparently
be harder?
speedrun. I don't know, just literally just constant bullets on the screen. You can't dodge them and just die
It's just
immediately.
like Toho overlay on top of
Yeah.
the game, or
Exactly. But that's really all I wanted to add. That's the only pressing thing I had from last episode.
it's
We are
actually,
vindicated.
I just can't. I'm like flabbergasted by the fact that there's a fucking harder version of this game that was already like nearly impossibly difficult, given the normal circumstances you'd be playing this game in arcade. Like that's people, man.
Well, get good. That's all I'm going to say. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about Toki. We already complained for way too long. We went over on talking
we
about
literally had
Toki.
a bullshit counter.
Yeah, exactry.
So, let's get right into our topic for tonight. The game is Jet Moto for the PS1. I would never say PSX, for it's forever PS1 to me.
I never actually owned a PS1, so I don't really care.
I grew
I know
up
that
on
some
it.
people probably do, but I just see PSX on the internet, and while I don't really understand, because that should be PlayStation 10, I say what the internet says. The internet's never lied to me
Yeah, it's
before,
like
and never will.
Xbox One X, PSX. It's PS1, man. But that's neither here nor there. This game is Jet Moto, which is a racing game for the PS1, where you are on a little, I guess, hover jet ski, and you race across apocalyptic tropical landscapes, swamps, and icy areas. It's pretty brutal, but that's the basics of the game.
Brutal is a good way to describe it for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
This game's hard as shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like Toki hard as shit. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Like
this game is just like legitimately difficult in its execution.
It's fair to an extent. There are some like Mario Kart-esque bullshit type things where you get hit by an enemy when you're in first place and you go back to 20th. That kind of thing happens. But for the most part, it seems like if you are skillful, you are rewarded with it.
But the other way I would describe this as brutal is the fact that the ragdoll physics in this game, when you like fall off your
and
your
you like
jet ski,
scream violently.
Yeah, there's two things. One, you fall off your jet ski, like you literally go flying. It's like, oh my god, this person's dead, and it's like it emphasizes it. Like you're taken out of the game. You just watch this body flop, and it's like, oh god.
It is pretty satisfying, but it's also so frustrating.
But yeah, you fall off a cliff, and it literally makes like this visceral scream. It's like, oh no.
Well, I mean, like I guess it's realistic,
Yeah, but you feel the pain of your low res jet ski rider.
That's one thing I feel like people don't realize about PS1 games. Like you yourself said, you didn't play a whole lot of PS1. Is a lot of PS1 games have fantastic sound design as far as like effects, like music, like voice acting and stuff like that is a staple in my opinion of the PS1. I mean, it's nothing special, but like the little effects like do sound good.
So the funny thing is about this game is that I played this game for roughly 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And for the first half, I totally gimped on the experience that I actually could have had.
Why is that?
And the reason for that is because I don't understand how emulators work, and my totally legitimate ripped copy of the PS1 game contained bin files, and it contained this master file. I forget the exact extension, but I basically clicked on one of the 10 bin files to load the game.
You mean like the songs?
And while it worked, it had no sound. So I was literally playing the game with no sound. I'm like, did he?
You just pick on the Q file and then it starts playing.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize that because I don't emulate PSX, PS1. And so I was like, what the hell? Like, I'll be honest, when you gave me this game, I wasn't sure if you were trying to give me a game that like was going to get memed on or was from your childhood or something. I think it's relatively a good game. I have some qualms.
This is a game I rented like 40 times when I was a kid.
So you spent more money than the actual game cost on renting it.
When you're 7, you don't really have a choice. You're just like, Mommy, I want to play Jet Moto. She's like, shut the fuck up and play this.
But I realized it's definitely a good game, but when you actually have the sound, this game sounds so good for, 1996?
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is, like, the average PS1 experience for a lot of games. Like, the sound, like, is fantastic across a lot of the PS1 library, which, through this podcast, I'm going to be throwing at you a whole bunch of PS1 games to reinforce that, because, like I said, a lot of people don't experience it.
Yeah, we're actually going to rename this to PS1 Homework.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't think Dana's going to give me a single non-PS1 game.
I will.
We're 1 for 1. Actually, no, we're not. We're 1 for 2. I'm the one forgetting what podcast episodes we had here. But let's just go through the game and just talk about my experience, I guess. Because you played this game a ton as a kid, so I want to talk about how I really experienced it here.
Let's do it.
The first thing I noticed is that like these are real gamer sponsorships. Like you're either a Mountain Dew jet skier or a Butterfingers jet skier, or like it was some energy drink. I forget which one.
And that's very common in like early 2000s, like late 1990s, mid 1990s games. They actually have like real sponsors. Like if you play like any other racing game or even like some platformers and stuff, you'll see like random sponsorships. I think this one had like Axiom, Butterfinger, Mountain Dew, Pepsi, like actual sponsors, versus like you would never see that in a game nowadays, I feel, unless it was like Gran Turismo.
Yeah. And speaking of Mountain Dew, I thought like you were trying to like give me some like weird Playboy game for a second, because like this game is very risque, let's just say that.
Oh yeah. The character design and like little like the characters remind me a lot of F-Zero, like how all the characters have little irrelevant storylines and stuff like that.
I tried reading a lot of them before I just gave up.
Yeah.
I
mean, a lot of them are nothing to write home about, but it does add a little bit of flavor, which I think is cool. I do like the character design.
I think I read like 8 before I realized that like none of this matters. It's a jet ski racing game.
Yeah.
This backstory is not going to apply. But it is a nice flavor. I feel like a lot of games these days actually miss the flavor.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just like they have the core gameplay, but they don't actually try to expand on it. Like try to actually like make you feel for what you're playing. But speaking of like first impressions of the game, What the hell are these controls?
It takes a minute to get used to. Like, straight up, when I got into it, because I haven't played this game for like 10 years, I got wrecked.
I mean, you might say it takes a minute. I don't think I got the controls by the time I ended.
It feels a little awkward trying to, like, you can't, like, brake. And so there's a couple mechanics in this game. I guess that's probably more important to explain. On certain turns in the level, there's what's called a grapple pole, which will be a huge pink pole that you hear wow, wow, wow as you go past it, and you can press circle to grapple onto it, which allows you to fly around corners, which you can further accentuate by using the R1 or L1 keys to further turn your jet moto, whatever the hell it is, to go into it, to fly into it, and so on and so forth. You can also do things like turbo, and that's triangle. But then the problem is that square is brake, so trying to do any combination of these at the same time is not really possible because you're hitting X to accelerate.
Yeah, so I used an Xbox One controller with the emulator, and it actually worked surprisingly well. Like, it really lined up 1-to-1. But on the whole mechanic part, on the whole trying to do the combination of buttons, like, I found myself in like this weird like claw configuration trying to accelerate while grappling, and it's like, I'm not sure how well they thought out the control scheme. I also had to look up in a manual of the game, like, to understand like how I could possibly make these turns. I actually didn't understand grapple because I don't think it explained it to you unless you actually read about it.
You don't want to hold accelerate the entire time. That's probably like the number one biggest tip I can give you, is just to not accelerate at times.
Well, you should have told me that before I started the game. I actually was not able to finish the game. I got like 8 out of 10 levels unlocked.
Yeah, I was able to get first place in every race on amateur. I got first place on every race on intermediate. And as you saw right before we started the podcast, I got to the last 2 levels, and I could not finish them on professional. I was very close to beating it on professional, but I just got bullshitted.
So I was going to say this game's hard as shit.
Yeah.
But I think I just suck because I was able to get first place on amateur because, like,
the
amateur in any game pre-2000 is like the computer literally does nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that's usually the case. Intermediate, I'm like, this is straight up impossible. I think I was able to get first on the like first 3 levels. So the way this game works is like you unlock levels by doing a full circuit, kind of like Mario Kart. I think you need to be top 3 to unlock the next couple stages. The second set of stages, I think there's 3 sets of stages. I was not even close to getting top 3. Some levels were laughably easy. Like, for example, the one with the bridge where you just go under the bridge the entire time.
No matter the difficulty, you can get first place every time on that one.
Yeah. Some were terrible. Like, for example, every single level that was constantly turny. It felt very frustrating when you actually wanted to go fast and you had to like constantly slow down. For like we're talking about like 180-degree turns, but
with grapples, but they're like the computer is still going faster and stuff like that. On intermediate mode, the second level, which is like that tiki level, that's like Hawaii, that level is hard as shit.
Especially coupled with the fact that the recovery mechanics in this game are broken in some aspects. So I mentioned before that this game has really weird controls. If you've ever played QWOP, you understand that customization and controls is not necessarily the best thing to do. In some aspects, this game is too customized. So you could control which way you tilt, up, down, left, right, as well as the way you turn. So you could be like tilted all the way to the left, turning all the way to the right. It is way too hard to follow.
It's just something you have to get comfortable with. Like I know that what you're talking about, where sometimes you like just fall sideways. It's so good to just hit R2, which is like the tilt your boat thing, back up, and that does help a lot. It's one of those games you just have to play. To go back to the level design, some of the levels you just have to know. There's no way you can get first place or even top 10 or even place without knowing like what's coming in some of these stages. Like the swamp levels, a lot of them are straight up bullshit unless you know how to deal with each individual turn.
The problem with turns in this game, I alluded to it before, but the way that when you fall off a bike, you see your character go flying.
Yeah.
You go to a spawn point, and generally that's a forward. I've actually warped in this game, so
sometimes
I did not intentionally do it. But I fell off a bike. I landed way far ahead of where I was, and I was like, oh my god, speedrunner strats.
But then other times it's like 10 minutes behind you, and you're like, oh, well, I lose now.
Yeah, exactly. There are specific sections, especially when there's a lot of sharp turns in a row, where it will not log you as making progress. if you die. And it's very easy to die in sharp turns in this game.
Yeah, because if you just lean over too much, you hit the water and you just die.
Yeah, we'll have a death montage going as I say this. Yeah, I found myself in many instances getting last place because the computers are relatively good for their like intermediate. They're a little too brutal for intermediate, I think. If you make one or two major mistakes, you're definitely not getting first, but you actually might get towards last.
It depends. So the whole point of the game, it's very momentum based. If you can keep your momentum going and then you fuck up, you can frequently get back. And it's also one of the most important mechanics is the turbo mechanic and using the turbos at the right point. This goes back to reiterating the point about you need to know the levels. Like you need to know what straightaways are coming, when to use your turbos. And even watching enemy AI or whatever opponent AI, because you'll notice they'll frequently all take the same path versus you can kind of make like a little shortcut past another tree. Maybe it's on a straightaway and you can like turbo past it to just get past everybody on certain stages.
I definitely agree with you for one aspect, in that I watched the computers to determine which character was the best. Because something in this game that is not apparent when you start is that certain characters are impossible to actually beat this game with.
Yeah,
they're so
they are.
bad in some cases. I think I just did some like random Mountain Dew girl.
That's who I played as, was the Mountain Dew girl that has
all four Mountain Dew characters are girls.
Well, so, the one that's half naked riding on it. I guess they all are.
So all four half naked riding on a jet ski. So
her name was like Wild Rider, something like that. That's who I played as.
I did Wild Rider for the second half, but I did some other Mountain Dew girl for the first time I played this game. I couldn't get past 8th on amateur. Yeah. But then I played Technician, I think, the first time because I saw Technician
he wins every time.
Was getting first every single time. And the night and day between these characters, it's straight up unfair. It's like, imagine if in Mario Kart, one character just had worse acceleration and worse top speed than all the other characters.
So I guess there's different strategy involved. Like at a surface level, it may not look by much, but like the depth of the characters and how they all play differently is like quite insane. Actually, I was actually doing a little bit of research after I finished playing, and some people use different characters, you have to play them differently and stuff like that, but there are straight up characters that are unplayable.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, I guess. I will say though, like, while I did not like a lot of the tourney levels, I think the one where it has like a hazard and you have to go off a cliff, I really hated that level. But it had some really well-designed levels. I specifically liked the ice one, even though it was janky. I only unlocked one ice level. I think it was level 8.
Once you learn it, it's really fun. Like the first time you play it, it's completely bullshit. But once you know it, it feels really good to like, oh, I'm going to boost here. Okay, I know that cliff's coming. Let me turn to the left. Like it's actually really fun.
And I think the reason why it was fun is because I think the grappling mechanic actually, in many cases, it feels forced, and I feel like them using it, it turns it from a traditional racing game it tries to do its own thing, however, its own thing is just worse. Like, I wish it was a traditional racing game. There are so many times I was playing this game, and I'm serious about this. I was just thinking, I wish I was playing Hydro Thunder. I wish I was playing, what is it, Wave 64? Wave Racer 64?
I think it's just a matter of being comfortable with it. Like, to be fair, for like the first hour and a half of me playing it, I could not do it at all. But once I started getting better times and starting getting more comfortable with the controls and like leaning into things, breaking into stuff, and like the biggest thing is like turboing out of a grapple, it actually feels quite fluid. I mean, and then someone runs into you and you die, but I absolutely adore this game. It feels so good to get better at it. Like, and you feel yourself getting better as you play the levels.
I definitely think I played the game better as time went on. However, I think that there's just a little too much that it tries too hard at for it to truly be a good game. I think that it will always be in the shadow of games like Hydro Thunder, water-based racing games, like that one mini game in Mario Party 4. I don't know. Dope.
I'm probably just biased. I played like a long time as a kid, so I have nostalgia goggles for this game.
Yeah, of course. Actually,
I'm definitely gonna play it again after this podcast because I had so much fun playing it today. I played for like 3.5 hours. I really want to beat the professional mode. and just to see if I can, because as a kid I could just never beat the game.
I'll know when I see you that I should not play this game with you because you're gonna just kick my ass because I struggled on amateur sometimes.
I'm fairly competent at like cheesy racers, so it's like every time I play Mario Kart, I wreck. Like any like stupid kart game, I'm always really good at. We should do a virtual homework podcast versus sometime.
So you just kicking my ass at Jet Moto?
Yeah, dude.
I'll kick your ass at Hydro Thunder. I'll say that. I'm a Dreamcast boy.
I want an arcade version. We gotta find an arcade version.
I'll ship one to your house.
No, next time we see each other, we gotta like go out and find it. Like that's gonna be an episode in itself.
That actually is a really good segue into something I wanted to talk about.
What's
just
that?
Shooting the shit. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about arcades because you did mention Hydro Thunder, the arcade machine. Have you thought about arcades in a post-quarantine world? I know that every single podcast we've talked about quarantine, but again, we've said if you're not thinking about quarantine, what are you really thinking about? This is life right now.
I'm just thinking that hopefully people are more conscientious about like germs and touching stuff, because like prior to this, you just see like little kids like literally like coughing and shitting all over games.
and shitting all over games. I like the escalation.
I'm just hoping you don't see that as much, or maybe, you know, people like, oh, maybe I won't like eat nacho cheese and rub it all over my face and the machine as I play it, you know?
I mean, part of it is actually by design. You go to places like Round 1, they give you a pizza slice. The literal point of some games is to like bash your hands against it. It's like, what you're gonna get greasy pizza game.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm concerned about, really, because like, yeah, I do think that overall we're just gonna have people be more hygienic, people be more conscientious. But
I think the bigger thing, though, is I think companies in general are going to be more hygienic, and their employees are going to sanitize things. I mean, you're already seeing that now, that employees are sanitizing things and cleaning a lot better than they ever did. I'm just hoping that carries on to, you know, the post-quarantine world. Or does that feel weird to say, like, post-quarantine world? Like,
it sounds badass. It sounds like we're in, I don't know.
In what?
Tron.
How does it sound like we're in
I don't know, like something
we know what you mean. We know what you mean.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
Arcades in a post-quarantine world, ignoring Sam's stupid comments.
I mean, they're saying like Dave & Buster's might go out of business and stuff like that, which is a huge deal because they're straight up not making money.
I'm fairly certain Dave & Buster's wasn't doing super well beforehand. Maybe I'm wrong.
Which
I mean, like when you think of arcades, you don't think of a flourishing business.
No, I mean arcades in general are dying because they're super expensive. The return isn't that huge, and I don't know. I would be very happy to see Dave & Buster's leave because I love the experience I have there. I love their food. I love the atmosphere more than like a traditional arcade.
This podcast is sponsored by Dave & Buster's.
I wish, man. That'd be sick. Like I'll tattoo Dave & Buster's to my forehead. Give me money.
I will say probably one of the most surreal experiences on Reddit I've had is like a frank conversation with Dave & Buster's CEO. Because like it wasn't like an AMA. Like there was like random thread about like arcade games and like this, oh, I'm the CEO of Dave & Buster's and this is my opinion. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
He was very opinionated, but at the same time, people were like, you need to get Kawaii Waifu Fighter 14 at your arcade or your shit, kill yourself. And he was like, what?
I mean, I don't disagree. I need Kawaii Waifu Fighter 4.
That's true, but people were like complaining.
3 is outdated.
Like,
that's
why
from
don't
2019.
why don't you have Sound Voltex at your Dave & Buster's? It's like there's no market for that. Like,
but back on the actual subject at hand, I seriously think that arcades are in trouble just because of the hand-on game content.
Yeah.
It like when I think of arcades, I think of playing this one piano game that you're very familiar with.
Yeah. The one that you're like slamming at like.
Yeah, you're just
to
slamming
the point
your
you're
hands.
hurting your hands.
It's just like
piano keys.
I don't want to slam my hand on anything in public.
Yeah, I don't want to like touch anything or like any fighting games. Like we're definitely not playing whack-a-mole anymore. I do not want to touch that hammer.
It's really unfortunate for me because I play whack-a-mole with my face.
Oh. Or like even like skee ball or something like that. Like think about it though.
Poopy butthole.
Yeah. Skee ball at local arcade. When was the last time you think they washed the balls for that thing?
I don't even think they've washed the balls. I think they've like you look at a normal skee ball and then you look at those skee balls and like they're like a third the size. They're just worn down.
And you can like probably scratch it and some sort of like film would come off or like something.
Yeah, You
Like
think about a
Varnish.
Dave and Buster's when you think about arcades, but when you think about local arcades that are
They're
lower
like-
budget, that don't have the ability to replace parts, that's
like
that's
Corona
where it
Central.
gets a little bit more concerning for Corona.
That's Corona Town.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we have to talk about on that, but I do have a little bit more.
What's up?
I think we need to address a few things from our last podcast.
Like what?
First of all, I mentioned at the end, I'm not sure if you remember this. I definitely did not remember this until I started editing the video. But we promised musical guests from Lex Luger, OJ the Juice Man, Soldier Boy, and Gucci Mane as guests on this podcast. So I would like to formally apologize for not being able to get, especially Gucci Mane, on the podcast.
Like actually, like I was like actually look. I like planned my whole entire week about this. Like, and I was really excited. Like I told all my friends that this was going to be happening. Like
Well,
this was my
they're not
big break,
showing up.
and you're ruining it.
They didn't reply to my
Like,
emails.
You're literally like.
I got
making me
Mailer
look like an
Damon
idiot.
on Lex Luger.
Like, so I'm gonna have to go to everybody I know and just say, "Oh, I was a liar."
Well, you could just link them to the podcast and say that we have them on, and they won't listen. Don't worry.
It's true. No one will.
We're 30 minutes deep at this point. Only the most devoted.
Yeah, we talked about some stupid racing game.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is these people who are into the podcast for the Gucci Mane guest star, they're not going 30 minutes deep. So
They're
good.
just gonna skip to it and be like, "Where is he?" and then go on to the next thing.
Well, we're just gonna tell them that they skipped to the wrong part.
We're not getting any ad revenue from them anyways.
Yeah, exactly. But on the topic of music, preamble, I do take some notes just throughout my week of things to talk about. I have a few talking points. We've talked about a little bit of them, but one of my talking points was from yesterday. I had a little bit of it was the weekend, so I did what anyone in quarantine would do. I had a vodka shot or two, but at 2:12 in the morning, I wrote misspelled Gangnam Style in our notes. So
Wait,
I don't.
What was your thought process?
I don't have a thought process.
It's just like you said. What time was it? 2:30 in the morning.
2:12.
2:12 in the morning. You're like half drunk, half asleep, and you're just like,
I'll send you my
Gangnam
spelling
Style
for Gangnam
misspelled.
Style. I misspelled Gangnam Style. So I said Gangnam Style.
That's
Do you have opinions on that? Do you have anything to say to Gangnam Style?
If I never hear that song again, I would be very happy with it. 'Cause it
Open
is very
Gangnam Style.
overplayed.
Open. Hey, sexy lady.
My thing was that I never thought it was actually a good song. It was just more like a novelty.
Oh.
I went, how about Open Kill Yourself style?
Oh.
I want to die. Open Gangnam Style.
Okay. Thank you. And with that, how's your week been?
It's been so-so. I built a PC yesterday. I was very excited to do it. Upgraded my processor from a 6700 to an i5 9600K. Got a brand new case. It's beautiful. I'm very excited for it. My setup's really nice.
We're going to show a picture on the screen, and we're going to show a detailed setup document with everything that's necessary. We got each individual part in the PC, where they are, coordinates, GPS.
I'm not doing any of that.
The specific sites and credit card numbers used.
It's just you've installed new PCs and stuff, right?
The worst thing I always hear is that it's like Legos. Legos don't exhaust me.
Well, have you built a computer before?
I've built 2 computers, yes.
Well, have you ever had to copy a hard drive without wiping it to a new computer?
Yeah.
It is the biggest pain in the ass on the planet. Because like the BIOS don't match, and you have to do all this shit. You have to reinstall Windows. Like, it's a big pain in the ass.
Yeah, so I think I'm actually specifically calling out Terry Crews here. Me and Terry Crews, he's a nice guy, but we have beef. Because that's where that quote came from. He said, "Building a computer is like adult Legos," or something like that. Adult Legos don't make me like feel like just laying in my bed for the entire rest of the day and doing nothing, just like defeated. You ever turn on a computer and it just like it's a blank screen after like 8 hours?
It's not a good feeling. I will say though, new computers are so much easier to do. And I tell people, if you're gonna spend the money, get a nice case. Get a really nice case, because the case I bought had all the fan, like power controllers built in. So I literally just needed to plug one cord into my power supply and one cord into my graphics card and motherboard, and that was it. I didn't have to plug in like anything else. It was so easy. Like I built the whole thing in like a half hour maybe, just because it was so simplified. Like it was fantastic.
This podcast is sponsored by buildapc.com/Dana. Go there for a 404.
Dude, it's sponsored by Ducky Keyboards, and fucking I've been trying to get mine since 4/3, so like 23 days, and they've been out of stock. And it's like I messaged them and they're like, hey, we don't have it yet. I'm like, well, when are you gonna get it? And then they give me some like automated message. I'm like, what the fuck? I paid for this shit.
.com.
So hopefully I get that on Tuesday, and if not, I'm going to go full Karen style, because that is what I do.
You got the haircut to prove it.
Dude, I look straight up high school right now. It's bad. Like, my hair is down to my shoulders.
I'm about to go out and protest because I can't get a haircut. I got a sign ready.
Does it say, my name is Sam and I'm a fucking idiot?
Yeah, but then it says I also need a haircut.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I was one of those people that, like, right before all this shit went down, I was like, I'll get a haircut next week, and then, well, here I am.
I'm one of those people that regrets not doing anything. Like, the worst part of my life right now is that I currently am working from home. Oh, boo-hoo, I have a job and I'm working from home. I know people are in way worse situations, but I'm working from home and we're not allowed back in our offices. And I had a desk cactus that I feel like I'm going to come
just dying.
I guess. Apparently they live like up to a year, but we don't know the future.
I mean, to be fair, I have had a cactus I haven't watered in like 2 years, and it looks exactly the same.
So you have like a decrepit corpse in your...
It looks exactly the same as when I bought it. It's just covered in cat hair now.
What I'm saying is that my decisions in life have murdered a fellow living creature.
I'm going to sue you.
You can sue me. That's fine. It's America. I understand.
Cactus side.
That's brutal. But so are cacti, so they might actually be okay with that.
How's your cactus at home doing?
It's living. I mean, I guess it's getting more attention than normal, but like I'm not gonna like go
on
red
alert mode. More attention than
mode.
normal. Do you like pet it? Like, oh, it was a good cactus.
I've been hugging it.
That's dangerous.
I'm a badass. Speaking of badass, I've been going to my local theaters and breaking in and then watching movies.
That's a crime. Like, like the complicated way to like set up movies, like, so because they're not sending new movies to movie theaters, so you just have to be watching like old ass movies from like several months ago. Like, ooh, I broke in and watched the Avengers.
I put my Blu-rays in the fancy movie machine.
Oh, I guess that's cool. Like, do you see the people on Reddit who like hook up like their Xboxes and shit to it?
No.
Oh, well, that's a thing. But I feel like the screen would be way too big, and I'm like trying to figure
I feel
out
like have you ever actually been to someone like that has a projector in their house?
It's too big.
Yeah, it's unwatchable in some cases.
Yeah. Because I've been to movies where I've had to sit in the very front row, and it's just like, it's horrible.
Have you ever seen a 3D movie in the front row?
I feel like I have, but I haven't gone to the movie. Like, be honest, when was the last time you went to the movies?
I go to movies a lot.
Really?
I wouldn't call myself a movie buff, because that title is reserved for Greg Turkington of On Cinema at the cinema. But I see, or at least I saw a movie probably once a month.
I used to do it a lot when I was younger, because I had a buddy that worked in a movie theater, and they let him bring friends in for free all the time. So we would just go see, like, it didn't matter how bad a movie was. Like, it could be like the worst thing ever. We would just go see it because it was free. That was good. That was about the last time I saw movies, though.
I generally go to a movie to just have the experience. Like, the last movie I saw in theaters, I think, was Uncut Gems at the end of January. So, it was good.
I have no idea what that is.
Adam Sandler, serious role, third most.
Was it as good as his role in Click?
I mean, this movie actually has good reviews.
Oh.
I actually think Click's a good movie, but the reason why I hate it is because every single commercial was like, see Adam Sandler's newest comedy. And it's like, this movie made me sad. This movie made me so sad. And I went there thinking it's funny
it's
Mr.
like
Deeds.
It's like a comedy with like horrible like sadness in it. And you're
yeah.
Like, you've betrayed me, commercial.
But I'm going to just force this in. I had one more talking point. Just one more.
Okay.
Just one more. And then I can finally let you pass away in peace. I know that the doctors are saying, please let this man die peacefully. But,
wait, what doctors? Do you know something I don't?
The one last thing I have to say is that I tried to play a compilation disc that I got from CompUSA when that company existed in like 1998. called 1,000
those-
Hot Games,
Oh God.
and it would
I
not.
feel like I had the same thing.
Yeah, we all had the same thing. It's on the screen right now, but it wouldn't play. It said this is not compatible for your version of Windows, and I'm sad. So can you please? So I'm just asking you, as just like a fellow man to man, can you please fix this error for me? I want to play the game.
Oh, well, what's the error?
I don't remember. Can you just do it?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Can you come over?
I mean, I could
Fix
like
it?
remote desktop or something like that. Can you show me the error?
No.
Well, what the fuck does that do for me?
Can you just wish it away? I want to play
I'm-
1,000 Hot Games.
I mean, I'm sure it's a compatibility issue. I'm sure you could probably search how people get it played or something like that. Or I imagine every single one of those games is dumped somewhere. Like there's
I want to play Lego Rock Raiders for Windows 98. Can you
Dude.
help me?
Did you ever play Lego Island?
I want to play Lego Racer for 1998 Windows. Can you please help me?
I played Lego Racing for Nintendo 64.
Same game.
Is it
But-
really? That game's
Yeah.
shit.
It is good.
It's fucking awesome. You build
All right,
like some.
we have a game for next week. Oh, I have to pick.
Dude,
Or
let's
you're
play
gonna pick.
that.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna skip just picking. We're gonna play a game we all enjoy.
Maybe.
But I think we have to wrap it up actually because we're just rambling about 1998 compatible games
Pretty
for
much.
Windows PC.
Yeah, I'm done with this shit.
Me.
So that was the podcast.
I thought we just ended on the me.
Let's do that instead.